there's excitement and fear in the air, and the United States does impact other countries and like how our election goes and things like that. And so it's interesting. I think it's really, we live in a super interesting time.
Hello, everyone. I am Claudiu Murgan, the host of the Spiritual Inspired podcast. Welcome back to a new episode. My guest today is a returning one, Amy Robeson. Amy, thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having me again. I'm excited to chat with you today.
Yes, it's been a while, and the first time we touched on many subjects from DNA to crystals to Akashic records. But I think there are still other subjects we can talk to, because this field is pretty much endless, and we can find nuances to bring forward so people can learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is vast and big. And that's the fun thing, is you can go into different pockets and really geek out on everything that wants to come forward.
So since we last time, how do you feel the Earth consciousness these days?
It's interesting because I'm in the United States, and we just had our inauguration. And so I was just talking about this to my Secret Awakening students, my Akashic Record students. It's like, there's excitement and fear in the air, and the United States does impact other countries and like how our election goes and things like that. And so it's interesting. I think it's really, we live in a super interesting time, and I think that if we just take away politics and all that stuff, our technology is advancing so quickly, like so quickly. And because it's advancing so quickly, we have to get even more connected to Mother Earth. We have to ground even more to our earthiness, because the more we connect into that earthiness, the more safe we'll feel as all these rapid changings are making way.
Yes, and I will add something to what you said, that technology is evolving, but I think it's a time when we are allowed to bring certain technologies forward, and that will happen even more and more. People are mentioning med beds and other type of Tesla-related technologies, which will help us evolve in our consciousness, but also keep a healthy body.
Yeah, it's like I was talking about that today too. It's like you got to take care of your physical body. And we can do all this spiritual work, but we have to take care of the physical body, because when we take care of the physical body, and that's the neat thing, is there is so many things that are coming out for us to take advantage. And there's like frequency beds and HRF like pods that you can help regulate your nervous system, and there's all these things, and it's one, hard to keep up with everything, and one, it's hard to understand what's worth spending your money on as well. But the main thing is just like slow down so you can speed up.
Yes, and I think the spirit wanted to find the right people who will be able to work with these technologies and use them for the good, not for the opposite side. And maybe now is the time that the spirit found these people all over the world, so the technologies can be pushed back and bought by various individuals and then shelved.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you just got to follow your heart. Like if you follow your heart, you're going to know where it's going to take you. And sometimes we do get people in our life that teach us lessons. And so remember that as well, because they're there to help you either find your voice or finish a pattern that keeps coming up in your life. So no matter what, no matter who we're meeting and we're in relationship with, there's a reason for it.
Yes, and I can tell you that during my interviews, I get more and more interesting people. It's just unbelievable how I attract them, and the discussions we have, and the ideas that come out of this interaction is just unbelievable.
I love that. And it's because when two minds meet, or however many people are on the show, right? You get to have that synergistic connection, and then we tap into our quantum radiuses and we start remembering things, and everybody brings out different things within each other too. So I love that your show is changing too, and you're evolving with it.
Yes, for sure. And Amy, On our first interview, you mentioned about the activation of 24 strands of DNA. And I think you're the first one I heard talking about such a high number. But since then, there are more and more guests that came forward and mentioned 12, 20, 24. So for someone as sensitive as you are, how can you tell how many strands have been activated in the person you are talking to?
Oh, I love it. So here's the thing. I've been talking about DNA over the last 2 weeks because we're promoting our DNA program right now. And so I love that we're actually talking about this because this question just came up recently, and it's actually with someone that does all sorts of different work. And her question was like, hey, like, how do you know what strands have been activated? And my answer to that was, it's not important to know. It's important to know what strands want to be activated because
Mhm.
we have over 32 trillion cells in our body, and most of those have DNA in them. And so we don't want to activate 32 trillion cells all at once. We don't want to activate a thousand DNA strands all at once. What's important is what are the strands that want to be healed? What gifts and abilities are in those strands? And what patterns want to be cleared? What trauma wants to be cleared? And how are you going to benefit from that? Because I don't get caught up in this is as many strands as we have, and this is all of the ones that have been activated, because it's every time we do an activation, the experience is so different from time to time. And the reason for that is because different ancestral things are being cleared, different karmic things are being cleared, and different gifts, abilities, blessings are coming forward to be integrated and to be experienced or embodied. And so the DNA itself isn't numbered 1 to 32 trillion. Like it's just this is how many we're doing, this is what we're activating. And we can do it, and it can slowly integrate. Because some people are very, very sensitive, and then there's some people that they're ready for it. Like they're ready for way more too. So it just depends on the person and what it is.
And when this activation takes place, does also tell us what our purpose is, what should we do next in terms of a spiritual path?
Yeah, so it can be your purpose is always being revealed because you have many different purposes. And within the DNA activation, depending on what's being activated, um, a portion of that purpose can become very clear, or something else is cleared in your life for that purpose to come forward. So it just depends on where it's meeting you and where you're at in your journey. I know for me, like when I got my DNA activated and restructured for the first time, I started downloading a lot of intuitive spiritual technology and how to do certain activations and what ways to do them inside of the Akashic records. And I got to put it in, implement it right away because I was getting it so strongly. I was like, okay, this is part of what I'm supposed to be doing. So let me test this. And the data that I received, I just put out like a really small offer, like, hey, I got this activation that's coming through. Anybody want to beta test this with me? And I got a ton of people that wanted to do it. And so I just did the very first part of the activation. And the cool part is everybody had the same experience.
Hmm.
Everybody was seeing and experiencing all these different things that are so cool and so different. So then it gave me the information of what I needed to do next to do the full activation for it. And so, and then most of those people ended up doing the full activation because it was that powerful and unique and different. And so everything is so time sensitive to the person's experience and where they're at in their life, where I've had other students where they just feel different and they can't quite quantify or explain why they feel different, and because they feel different they can carry themselves differently and they can attract differently in their life as well.
Yes, and I can give you a similar example that I shared with close friends, an activation or yeah, let's say a meditation that activated me in a certain way. and they came back with a different type of body reaction and feelings, and it wasn't the same for each of them, and they were totally different than my reaction. So as you said, it based on each one's level of understanding, consciousness,
Mhm.
body frequency.
That's cool. And I like that you got to compare and contrast their
Mm.
experiences as well, because it doesn't invalidate anybody's experience. It validates your experience, it validates their experience, which is really neat.
Yes. In our first interview, we talk a lot about Akashic records, but I think one aspect we didn't touch on is the misconceptions about what they are, and how you can address this in your teachings.
Yeah, so for anybody that doesn't know what they are, the Akashic Records is a field of infinite possibilities. So every word, deed, thought from the moment your soul is incepted is recorded in the Akash. And we can open up the Akashic Records to receive love and guidance and support in any and all areas of our life. And I think that sometimes there's a misconception that the records are fortune telling. They're not fortune telling in any way, shape, or form because we have free will. And we can choose to take advice, or we can choose to ignore that advice and do nothing with it, or do the opposite of what they shared with us. Totally up to us and what we have that free will. And then also, just because the guardians shared a possibility with you doesn't mean it's actually going to happen, because you have to put the energy and that emotion in place. So I'll give you an example. Like, I got my yoga teacher training. I did it privately. I didn't do it at a studio. I wanted to get a teaching gig. And so I asked in the records, I said, hey, what studios can I go apply at? Because it's very hard to get a teaching gig if you actually didn't get certified at that studio. And as a new teacher, and the guardians are like, go to these three different studios. And one particular studio, they said, hey, when you go to that studio, ask to speak to the owner, tell them that you're interested in observing the kids class. I didn't even have kids yoga on my radar. And I was like, okay, I'll go do that. It's literally right down the road from my house. Why not? Let's go do this. And so I went and I asked, I said, hey, I just got yoga teacher training certified. I'm very interested in observing the kids class. Do you mind if I observe it? And it's like, absolutely not. It's next week, or it was like within a day or two from me visiting. And so I went, observed the kids class, left, and like a couple weeks later, calls me back and asks if I'm interested in co-teaching the class. And so because I took advice immediately, that came to fruition. Now, let's say I waited and didn't take the advice right away. And one of the studios I didn't go at all to, so that opportunity was not going to manifest itself unless I went to that studio. But let's say I waited 3 weeks to do that, that opportunity most likely would have been gone and surpassed, because they would have identified they had a problem, and they would have maybe asked already somebody else that worked at the studio to help with the kids class if they were interested in helping with it. And so time is of the essence. And so the timing is important. And then the guardians always share with you from that moment in time. And because there's an infinite possibilities of how things can work out, the way and how you take action and the way that you are asking the question is going to deem the results that you are getting. And so action's important. The types of questions that you are asking is also important. Another misconception is that the records are only used for past life regressions. There are many different ways to use the Akashic records, and I personally like using them for the past, the present, and the future. And then there's different ways that teachers teach them as well, where there are some teachers that only use them for past life regressions. That is perfectly okay if that's the way that they're being guided to use them. Totally great. I personally feel it's really heavy to only focus on the past. I want to also focus on little things that make a huge impact in my life. And you can ask different questions based on what you're needing support with. And it doesn't have to be an emergency. And you don't have to show up perfectly. There's that misconception that I have to be prim and proper. I have to be a high vibe. I have to be in a great mood in order to go into the records. And you don't. You could just go in. You could go in exactly if you are mad, go in there mad. They don't care. They know you're having a human experience and they want to support you work through whatever anger you have coming up because they meet you where you are at. And there's many more, but I'll just leave it at
Yeah.
that.
Thank you. Very interesting. And going back to what you said that we need to take action is similar for those who go into sacred plant medicine. The integration part is important, and they were giving messages. And if they don't act on those messages, yes, they release some trauma, they release some pain. But in the end, the action is very important, more than what the experience itself.
I totally agree. And there's something else that I'm getting guided to share too in terms of that. Sometimes the guardians will share something with you and you are not going to know what it means sometimes right away. Sometimes the action of working through something is the very thing that allows the understanding. And then also, sometimes the understanding doesn't come. Sometimes it might come in a week, sometimes it might come in a month, sometimes it takes years to actually understand what they is because they're what they're trying to share with you. Because sometimes they're just planting seeds so your experiences water those seeds and they turn into plants and then you fully blossom into understanding what it is that those seeds were meant for you to understand.
Yes, very, very interesting. And we talk about, you talk in fact about your community, and I would like to know how do they cope with the energies and what's going on in the world? What's the feedback you receive, and what's the advice they're asking for?
Yeah, I always do a check-in. And it doesn't matter if I'm teaching or if I'm doing a live or whatever. I'm like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Because there's always a collective response to what is going on. One of the collective response today was, I'm feeling anxious and excited all at the same time. I'm feeling anxious. And if we kind of go back to what we were talking about earlier with the inauguration, and then there's also this excitement. It's a new year, and there's all this momentum behind people doing things, starting out their resolutions. And then there could be possibly anxious collective energy of, I'm not doing the things I'm supposed to be doing right now, even though I made these resolutions. So what am I supposed to be doing? And how am I supposed to be doing it? I'm failing. And so that all gets into the collective. And depending on where and what time of year it is, there's always usually a similar response to what's going on with community. And it could be about the full moon, the new moon, it could be big events that are happening in the world. Whatever it is, the main message always is going to be go back in, journey within. Separate yourself from that energy so you can clearly understand what's going on for you. But most importantly, just take time, take 1 minute to center in, and you're going to feel a million times better by just taking a minute to take 10 breaths, center into your body, remind yourself you're safe, and whatever else you want to tell yourself, and you're going to feel completely different in just as simple as a minute.
Yes, or to quote today's lesson from A Course in Miracles is, I am determined to see the world differently. You know, and because it's day 21st, I started again with my group of close friends, and we are determined to stay on course until the last lesson of the year.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So you're going to be studying the Course in Miracles for the whole year?
This is the second time going through it, and again, it's a collective initiative, and we are pushing each other every morning. We send a lesson, and then we encourage to and remind each other to take 1 minute several times a day to remember the lesson and just practice the lesson.
I think that's so neat. I think that you're doing it with a group is even more awesome. And I think I love the fact that you're doing it again because you already got so much insight from the first time you did it, right? So now that you know all of that knowledge gets to be incorporated in everything that you're doing the second time around. So I'm so curious to see how this helps you and how much you deepen your knowledge with that particular teaching as well.
Yes, and I think one main thought in the course, and also from what I'm reading outside of the course is that if everything is energy, and everything is energy, in fact, we have to be very careful what we ingest in terms of media, in terms of news, in terms of how we talk to the people around us. And I'm reading a book from one of my previous guests, Dr. Charnel, and she's talking about these aspects of our life and how she went through so much hassle because she always at one point forgot to change her mindset, change her mentality on how she was addressing the other side and her thoughts, and everything changed the moment she started noticing these thoughts and noticing the way the words she was saying. And I think for us, for all of us, we have to be very careful and ingest only the good, positive energy.
I agree. It's consumption. What are you consuming? And does it serve your highest good? Because even when we have events that come up, if it's putting you into a tizzy for no reason, like you don't even, it doesn't serve your highest good to even follow that or research that or look at that. Now, there's things that sometimes it is really important, like for example, like my mother-in-law lives with me, and I was eating before you and I got ready to chat, and she's like, "Did you hear about the school shooting today?" That, first off, there's so many school shootings now, it's ridiculous. But it's local. And because it's local, it's important for me to actually go and look at what happened because it's not very far from where I live. And there is a massive impact on what that looks like and how people react within the community and things like that. So I do want to know that. But I also want to protect myself from too much consumption of negative news and how that's actually impacting me. And can I separate myself from it? But then there's also the consumption of, um, how do I consume things in a way that feels healthy and safe while still being informed and still navigating my life in the way that I want to navigate it. And that I think is also important as well.
Yes, and one way I personally protect myself from this type of events and interference is I know that 2025 is going to be um, will have a lot of similar events, could be false flag, could be real events, whatever. But at the same time, I have the understanding that those who are doing it and those who are the victims serve a purpose in this lifetime to
Mhm.
teach us something else. So from that perspective, even if it's painful for those who are losing their lives and for their families, I think it's an easier way to look at things and not get affected.
Right. And I think that, there's circumstances and events that do help humanity move forward. And sometimes those events are gut-wrenching. I wouldn't want to ever experience that, right? So there's that component to it. And then if we just talk about the school shootings for a second, like that right there, there is a cry for help for our youth. And until we get that figured out, I think these things are continuing to happen. And the depression rates and all that stuff is very, very high right now for teens. And so that impacts them in different ways. And they need support, they need help, they need more than that, and they need intervention sooner.
Yes, but that could be done through the school system, education system, which is not well designed at this point, or through the family. And if the family is not aware of what's going on, also the intervention is not the proper one. And socially, we are also damaged at this point. So it's honestly, they don't have too much help unless someone like you will come around, or they listen to a podcast like Spiritual Inspire or similar podcasts. They can be put on the right path and ask for help, find the right help.
Absolutely. I think that meditation in school would be fantastic. I think teaching them breathing exercises and coping behaviors and practices that can help them regulate would be very, very helpful. And I think that our school systems need a massive overhaul. Like that's not there's no secret in that. Everything needs to be changed. Where it's outdated. It's very
Yes.
outdated.
Yes, unless the religious structures will find or look at breathwork exercise or meditation at something which is not in sync with the dogma, and that's the clash that we at one point we have to address and move forward.
Yeah, it will be interesting, and I think everybody has their place in society. So those change makers, those people that are meant to have those big voices to advocate for those changes are coming, and then the practitioners that can support with those changes are already here. And so it's just a matter of are you listening to your calling, and is your calling a part of being with that change, or what is your calling for in terms of the changes that are necessary to help humanity. Because I think we're all of service in many different ways, and how we can be of service makes a difference. And even if it doesn't seem like it makes a difference, just helping one person allows another person to help another person, allows another person. It just has this massive ripple effect.
Yes, I mean, we have to address the educational system all over the world because the youth need this type of direction. And again, I hear it from pretty much all of my guests from all over the world. And hopefully, sooner rather than later, this will be taken care of.
Yeah, I pray it does, and I pray it comes quick and fast, and that we start seeing things because these kids now that are in school, like they're the star seeds that are here to help raise consciousness as well, and so we're raising them to help raise consciousness too.
Yes, and sometimes I think that all they need to know is to write and to read and do some math, and everything else will come naturally to them. They don't have to go through the whole cycle of physics and chemistry and biology. I mean, if they feel it in them, they will pursue that career. But otherwise, they might just need to be activated at the cellular level to get all that information that they will spend 12 years in school to learn about.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's neat to just even see how innovation comes through the changes of the technology that's coming as well. I was listening to a podcast with Dave Asbury, and he was talking about how he encourages his students to use AI and why it's important to use AI. Because as an adult, you can use AI, so why can't they? As long as they're still doing the work, right? And so I love that perspective because as a business owner, I pay people to help me with all sorts of stuff. So, can you be innovative? Can you think outside the box? And that's how our youth should be able to, because it allows them to access their creativity in such a beautiful way.
Yes, I agree. And 2 years ago, I went through an exercise. I published a poetry, a poem, books of poems using AI. So I selected the subjects. I did the editing. I made the modifications of the poems. I
Fun.
structured it in four or five different sections related to spirituality and increased consciousness. And then I published it as an ebook. It was an exercise, totally different from what I was doing as a writer, as an author, as a content creator. And I'm not ashamed of it. It was just very
Why
interesting to
not?
go through that. Yeah.
I think AI is I think it's so neat. We've been using AI for quite some time. Like there's all sorts of different things. Like I mean, just a scheduling system, that's AI, like so we're just seeing how AI can work in a different way. And I think that you can train the AI to help you understand different concepts on a deeper level. And I think that's really neat.
Yes, for sure. Amy, in when I have guests like yourself, I offer myself as a guinea pig for a reading or a caching.
Absolutely.
So if you want to do one, that would be grateful.
I would
That would
love
be
to.
nice.
So, what I usually like to ask is, what are you wanting support with, or do you have a very specific question you would like to ask? Or is there like a topic or theme that you want to look at?
how will I evolve spiritually in relation with this type of work I'm doing with the podcast? And if there is anything specific I should focus on.
Okay, how will you evolve spiritually in relationship to the work that you're doing? And then what was the last piece?
And if there is any specific direction I should
Okay,
go into.
okay, so the first thing they're telling me is green, 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 green. And so there's multiple meanings in green. So one is the work that you're doing is coming from the heart. If it doesn't come from the heart, don't do the work. And there's sometimes little projects that you get excited about, but there's you got to stop and pause and ask, does this come from the heart? Because sometimes they're just distractions and they're fantasies. Like
Mhm.
I like to call these fanciful delights where it's just fun to fantasize about and it allows you to get to the next idea or it allows you to be in a frequency of play that allows the next thing to come forward
Mhm.
or the next action step on other things that you are working on. So green, green, green. So there's that aspect to come to the heart. Also, they're saying it's really important for you to start going to the next level of monetization of your work. And so what does that mean? Like it means like making sure you're getting paid for the things that you're doing and monetize and you're laughing because I'm assuming this has come up multiple times for you.
Yes.
Do yes. Um, so that aspect, it's like, hey, you are worth getting paid for what you do, and there's many things that you are doing that you can monetize. And so they're saying monetization, 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 green, green, green. If your heart's in it, you can get paid for it. Um, and so the next piece of what you can do in order to monetize, oh, hold on, I need to bring in another element. Um, do you have house plants or do you like house plants? Like,
Yes.
okay. They're saying that there's several different house plants that can help you in your business and bring more of that earthy energy in that are also activators for you.
Mhm.
And they're saying that those plants are really important to have in your workspace.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and you'll understand that more the more that you're like, going, who wants to help me? And then connecting with it before you start your work, you can just kind of ground and even like invite that energy in to help you ground. And then for example, for me, like I have tons of plants behind me. I have one on my desk, and the one on my desk, and I'll show it. Um, this particular one, it has red flowers on it, so it's very earthy, it's very rooted. It's like helping me connect with my root chakra. And then the green helps me to connect with the earth. And I love having this particular plant on my desk because it's the root chakra is energizing and it's also our center for safety and things like that. And so they're saying that the plants are calling to you in such a big way that they can help you and activate things for you in your work.
Mhm.
Okay. And then going back to the monetization, um, the step, the direction is focusing on this year, and especially in first quarter, is what's my game plan to start monetizing?
Mhm.
That's step one, because you can't monetize without actually thinking about it and creating the game plan to it. And then once you start game planning, it's really important to start implementing the very first project that you want to implement to monetize what it is that you're doing. Is that helpful?
Yes, and in fact, I'm working towards that. For sure, I've been working for a couple of months, and yes, I will share with that with you offline. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And they're saying the heart piece is there. The heart piece is there, so just trust, 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 trust. And for anybody that's listening to this, anything that I'm sharing that resonates with you is also for you. Anything that doesn't, leave behind the rest. And the overall message for the collective, for your listeners, is let your heart lead you, and it will bring abundance and prosperity and wealth in ways that you can't imagine. But you gotta trust the heart and allow your heart to lead you down the path that is truly your destiny path.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome, my dear.
Thank you.
I just love how you started laughing because you knew.
Yes, and in fact, I've been trying some remote energy healing with friends and family. And I got, before starting this, I was told that yes, you have to charge later on when you're gonna do it a bit more professionally. You have to charge to make a living. And you just reiterated the same thing because there are people out there that not many, but some of them use donations to make a living and be paid for their services, and I admire them, and I wanted to do that if possible. But the fact that this message comes again and again, I will have to follow it for sure.
Yeah, and there's about when we get offline, I'll share a couple other things that you can do, just because it probably isn't related to your listeners that you can do to monetize as well. So I
Yes.
love it. Just do it.
What projects are you working on these days?
I last year I filmed a documentary with Joe Vitale. Joe Vitale was in The Secret. And the documentary is called Zero Limits. And so that's going to premiere this June. So I'm really excited for that to come out. And I'm working on my book.
Mhm.
So I'm very excited for that when it's complete and ready to go out as well. And I feel this big shift. It's like, I've been doing this full time for 9 years. I've been in business since 2013, so longer than for almost 12 years now. And so I'm I feel this massive shift that's going to happen, and I've been doing a lot of deep, deep, deep work, and I've been seeing results. But I'm excited to because when you have a business, sometimes it's hard to make implementation changes. It takes a little bit of while to change them. And I feel like this year is a big, massive year of change for me and implementing different systems that I've completely outgrown. And so I'm really excited to see what that looks like and how that is. And most importantly, just be centered in the process of doing it and get to enjoy all of the things that I've worked really hard for that's coming to fruition now as well.
Nice. And are you planning any retreats?
I am. So we have a big uh there's Conscious Life Expo in LA. I'm going to be speaking at. That's not my event, but it's event that's been happening for 23 years, and there's lots of exhibitors, uh, talk speaks people that are speaking, giving lectures, workshops. So I have three different times that I'm speaking and doing a workshop and lecture, and then in May I'm hosting an intimate retreat with 15 people. That's going to be in Joshua Tree,
Mhm.
California. I'm really excited about that. And then we usually have our live Sacred Awakening retreat for my Akashic Record students that we'll do later this year as well. That I feel like that retreat, all of the things that I'm doing this year, like if I'm so honored that I get to be a part of it because I love retreats. Like I think something really magical happens when you get together with exactly who's supposed to be there, and we get to full time and we get to experience a massive up leveling in just a short period of time. And then we get to go take that all throughout the world and create changes in our community as well, which is really neat to see and to witness.
Beautiful. And while in Joshua Tree, are you going to involve or work with Angela de la Agua for the cacao ceremony?
No, but I will be doing my own cacao
Oh,
ceremonies. Yeah, well, I'll do a cacao ceremony, and the way that I pick where our location is Mother Earth and creation tells me where to go and I just go there. And so this year, it was very clear we needed to be in Joshua Tree specifically for the like the galactic trees out there and for the Earth. And then there's some galactic beings that want to come in and support our work as well. And then like I just hosted a retreat last October in San Diego. And so as a group, we did a lot of cleaning of the city. And that felt really good and very important. And so every place is a little different in where we go and what we're doing. Because as a group, we're healing the land as well.
Yes, and I know, and I agree with you that we can heal the land. But in instances such as, heavy rains in Dubai or amazing, devastating fires in LA, which
Yes.
are pretty much human generated, can we also impact that, or there is no chance we can do it?
I th- I have to believe that we can. Like, it's I was talking to um the producer of the Conscious Life Expo and I was telling her how one of my volunteers that's helping give readings at the expo that's happening in February, she she was like asking me like, is this happening? And I told the producer, I'm like, I told her that it's happening no matter what, unless the hotel burns down. And she goes, absolutely. And it's because the city needs us. The
Mhm.
city needs something to look forward to. And the people in the city that are coming, now there's people that come from all different places to this event. I don't live in LA, but like I'm going to the event and I'm speaking at it. And it is, we do need those things. I remember the first time after COVID happened and we moved from California to Tennessee. And my husband and I, we went down to Broad Street. And if you've never been to Broad Street, it's stimulating. And so when you haven't been stimulated in a really long time, it's like a little overwhelming, but it was so refreshing to see people out and about having fun, laughing, doing things. And, devastation is going to happen. And when we come together as a community to make changes, to build and things like that, it's really important. And just even with the hurricane that happened in North Carolina, I have family that lives in North Carolina. One of the biggest things that I can say that was the impact from the hurricane. Now, the devastation is horrendous. The community is amazing. Everybody band together. Everybody's helping. Like my sister-in-law has a farm and they have a drinking well. And so they were giving water to their neighbors when nobody else had water. And that's what community is all about. And you have to band together. And I think that the aftermath sometimes is the things that really make the hugest impact, even if it's man-made or from Mother Earth.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, you're right. We have to come together and help each other and move past these catastrophic events. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amy, if you have the power to give humanity a gift beside what you are doing right now, what would that gift be?
Oh, this is a great question. Um, I think that would be clarity. And the reason for that is like I want to say kindness and patience, but if you have clarity, you can automatically have kindness and patience that comes forward. I think what people get in trouble with is confusion.
Yes.
And when they're confused, they make different decisions than if they were actually clear on either why that person may be acting that way or clear on why they may be having a bad day or clear on what they want to do and why they want to do it. And so I think like if everybody could be gifted with clarity, I think that that would change a lot of things for people.
Thank you very much. And we are approaching the end of our lovely discussion. Any final thoughts?
I want to channel a message from the Guardians of the Records, and they're
Please.
saying that, um, and I've gotten this message in different ways, but they're wanting me to tap on it again just because we were talking about the plans. that color frequency is a big component in not only bringing clarity, but grounding, rooting, bringing things forward and helping with raise our own frequency and our own consciousness. And so if you're gravitating towards a particular color, work with that color. And that could be wearing it, could be inviting it into your space, but work with those color frequencies that you're being invited or really drawn to. And it could be for just a week, it could be for a month, it could be however long, but follow the energy of what colors you're attracted to and use those colors to create the changes that you want in your life.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Much love from all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And to my guests, thank you for watching. Share it, leave a comment. And until next time, love and gratitude.